Yeah.
He called on Saturday. Just asking. I love this one.
You still, you were out on the school. No, must be him sitting here with the red shirt on. Sell, I've never been. Yeah, I thought.
One of those places I can't think where it's
Maybe.
I don't know what that noise is.
Oh. I was gonna never doing it.
Oh, yes.
It's okay.
I mean. What?
Always.
Rhonda. Oh, I thought Rhonda. Oh, Rhonda.
Really?
Sorry, let's go. Folks, I'm not sure what that noise, I don't know where the background's coming from.
That's you, but.
Oh, we got an
Just what
echo.
you said.
Okay, hang on just a minute. Let me.
That's a record.
Steve Hazlett,
Here.
Charles Smallwood Jr., Benitez Jackson,
Here.
counselors from Ward 1, Diana Janey, Here.
David Perry,
Here.
Krista Hodges.
Here.
Tonight, our invocation will be led by Pastor Charles Blackman of the First Baptist Church, Harlem Heights, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Council Member Perry.
That's great. Father, we thank you that you've allowed this meeting to be held at this particular time, this particular city. We pray for members, mayor, members of the council, all those who are here, that we may be able to conduct business in the city peacefully and in order, for we know that you are a God of order. As they go through this meeting, let us be reminded of the cities in Ukraine that have been devastated. And let us be thankful that this city is still up and running. Pray this prayer in Jesus' name.
Amen. As we salute our flag, I'd remind all veterans that you are permitted to salute as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Which brings us to the reading and approval of the minutes. Is there a motion?
Mayor, I'd move that we accept the minutes as having been presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded that the minutes be accepted as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to, 7-0. Which moves us to the treasurer's report. Is there a motion regarding that?
I'll make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second, Mayor.
Been properly moved and seconded. We accept the treasurer's report as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion's agreed to, 7-0. Which moves us to correspondence. The city clerk has informed me we had 2 letters, rather long letters, and they have been copied and they're at your desk for your reading, perusal, and there can be no action taken on anything because it's not on the agenda, but that's for information. You have 2 letters.
They're not going to be read, Mayor? Are they not going to be read?
Now, this is based on time. Do you want them read?
I think they should be read. We've taken time before to read. I think we should. Either she can read them or I'll read them in council comments, whichever is preferred.
Well, you can read them in council comments then?
I will.
Okay, good. Councilman Oxley will read them later. Which now brings us to citizens' comments. I call this meeting of the city council into recess you'll meet at the amphitheater, and we'll be back in. Everyone's invited to go out.
Till we meet. How many's out there? Can you just stay there?
Get out of here.
Jim?
Oh, yeah. See, I remember when I ran the pool, asked him to come in. It's 105 degrees. Man, it's sure hot out. I said, geez, really? And then when it was two below, they said, same guy said, hey, it's cold out. No, I mean, I'm not gonna keep you all from getting in trouble. I just said, I don't understand. Shoot,
You were loud, you were clear.
Was it loud
Yeah.
enough? Matt Winder kept going like this. I couldn't get it. I know it.
How you doing?
Yeah.
I'm sweating already. I'm sweating. I make at least about 85. That's why I don't go to class. Then you only have to be. That's why I didn't go. 87. So go ahead and go. Don't even need to go. Sitting out air conditioning. I'm not getting rid of it. How much cost the turbo?
About to have a heat stroke.
The guy who had a lot of metal. So I had a couple quotes, $6,500, $7,000. He said, I got the metal.
Kevin, fine, how are you? Your brother done moved out on you. I said, your brother moved out on you. He comes back every other week. That's a crazy move, in my opinion. Really? Where'd she go? Opposite ends.
My whole, all my things.
I was supposed to bring that. You were supposed to fly to take night. Good move. Got all kinds of hardware.
I do.
I wonder why.
You don't mind at all. You can sit beside me. I'll be honored.
Well, it was, Anita and Rhonda called, so we need to get.
All right, Mayor, let's roll.
About what?
Federal.
I wrote that sucker.
I'm on vacation.
Everybody back.
Let's go.
Call this meeting back into session after a short recess, which now brings us to citizens' comments.
Mayor, I'd like to ask a question. Do you have any other correspondence before you at this time?
No, sir. Oh, yes, yes, I do. I do. I have one right here.
Could you read that, please?
This, you want it read now?
Yes,
Mr. Oxus will read. Well, I'll read it.
I don't really want to read it under my comments. I'd like to hear you read.
You want to hear it? It's very short. Dear Mayor, I'm interested in applying for the city manager position, Demita Johnson. That's all I got.
Mayor, I'd like to suggest that we have a special meeting in a very short time to discuss with Ms. Johnson and consider her interest in the city manager's job. And I understand you can call it, but since 7 of us together, I would hope that we concur.
It can be called, the clerk herself can call it. You can call your own if you want. And the mayor can call it, and 4 members of council, one of those 3 options. Can be 4 members, mayor or the city clerk. What is your desire? For me to call it, or you 4 to call it, or Demita?
I will be one to call it.
I will be one.
I'll be one.
3, one more, I guess. You have 3,
I'll be one, Mayor.
4. So we now have 4 members of city council, Councilman Oxley, Councilman Hazlett, Councilwoman Janey, and Councilman Perry are the 4 who have asked there be a special meeting called. Do you have a date?
Well, you have to announce, correct?
Yes, but
Yes,
3 days?
5.
3, I think, Bill.
That's 5.
I thought we found out before it was 3.
State says 2, but the city ordinance says 5. We can be stricter, but we can't be more lenient.
I know the last time when we researched it. But anyway, 5, 3.
5, yes, sir.
I'd like to see at least, let's do 7. Let's do a week. Same
Okay.
time, so everybody knows.
That's fine.
Next Monday at 5:30.
Next
Oh,
Monday is West
that's-
Virginia
that's a
and
holiday.
Juneteenth.
We're closed.
Juneteenth and West Virginia Day both.
Tuesday.
21st.
Tuesday.
I won't be present on the 21st.
You can join us virtually. You guys like that stuff.
I'm gonna be at,
Huh?
I'm gonna be at my church. I'm on the board there.
No.
What time does your meeting start, Diane?
6.
Could we meet at 4?
I work in Beckley until 5 or 4,
Tuesday?
4:30. I could do 4:30.
There you go.
Does that work with everybody? Tuesday at 4:30?
On the
21st.
21st.
It's just a meeting for us, or it's a public meeting? Or, I don't,
Pardon?
is it a public meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay.
That doesn't mean we couldn't call for an executive session.
That June 21st, is that right?
Yes.
June 21st at
4:30, council chambers, special meeting of the Oak Hill City Council. All right, so that's been.
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment,
Yes, sir, go
editorial,
ahead. Yes.
not to persuade or anyone's views, but I am very pleased to hear that Demita has an interest in the position. I think it would be a very smooth transition with her knowledge, her aptitude, her acceptance by fellow employees. And that was saying how I would vote. But I'm very pleased to see that she has expressed an interest. I would say, though, that hopefully Bill will have a job description. Just doesn't have to be extravagant by then. That's kind of, all right. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir. All right. Public comments, Mr. Garvin, John Garvin. Yes, sir. Mhm. You can scoot that up there, John, if it's back too far. Just you can scoot the whole thing up a little bit.
Should be okay.
Okay?
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, my name is John Garvin. I'm a citizen in Ward 1. And when I saw this article, which was sent to me by my sister in Morgantown, shows how much I know about what's going on in the city. I've been in the witness protection program. So they finally let me out. And I just had a few questions first and then maybe make a few comments. When exactly did Gray Mill Holding acquire the Bbnt building?
Years.
It was 2018, I believe.
Okay. Okay. So I know I closed in 2019. So how long has the building been vacant?
Since then, I would assume. I mean,
Okay.
I'm going off my recollection from the
Okay.
tax department.
So what did they actually pay for the building?
300,000,
300,000.
Mhm.
And what was the appraised value?
450, I believe,
454.
454. Mhm.
So why is the city offering 675?
It's a great question.
I know I went down, walked by the building today and as I was coming up the side, I mean, we had vines growing up the side of the building. The tiles were already coming up because that was a big problem right before Bbnt closed. You had all the tiles there in front. You had to be careful. They're throwing the salt down and you'd walk and a tile gave out. So they didn't want a big lawsuit against Bbnt. Well, maybe you did want at that time, but I was more careful at that time. But I mean, you know, and someone said, okay, Mr. Hazlett, okay, the building is a centerpiece of Oak Hill. Okay. Well, if it's such a centerpiece, and then I think Mr. Oxley mentioned, they say it's going to be a showpiece. So if it's a centerpiece and a showpiece, why have they not done anything with the building? I mean, the building's just been sitting there. I mean, it's just, you know, and a building's not like fine wine. It doesn't get better with age. I know when I had the pool room building, I mean, you're doing something every week. You're always making repairs. And so, I mean, there's no answer to the question of why you would offer. I mean, it'd be like me going to buy a building and they say, well, it's 100,000. Just take $250,000. That'd be all right. I got no problem with that. I mean, you know, we're dealing with the public's money here.
Mhm.
I mean, this is our tax money that's coming into this. So it seems like we should be very concerned. And I think as representatives of the citizens should be looking upon any money that you take in, like you're talking about this, taking in all this big money on the sales tax. Well, that's great. You know, the way the economy is right now, we're probably getting ready to be in the worst economy we've ever known in our lifetimes and investing this kind of money. And I mean, this doesn't seem like too bad facilities to me right here. I mean, this is awfully nice. I mean, you know, and obviously now I remember years before I closed the pool room, in the bottom of that building, safety deposit boxes. We used to laugh because it got so bad, the leaking, when you had a rain, and they had buckets everywhere in the bottom. So I'm sure they've taken care of that since the building's in such great shape. I walked back today with all the kudzu vines will be growing up on it before long. That's neither here nor there. But I mean, they had to move the safety deposit boxes up to the second floor where the tellers were because water's coming in while you're trying to go through your safety deposit box in the basement. So, and I don't know if that's been an addressed situation or not as far as the leaking. you know? So let me see what else here I was concerned about in this little thing. And Mr. Oxley made a great point, 15,000 square feet of heated or cooled space and trade that for 5,900, which I think breaks down to like 38.3% if you want to get down to brass tacks I was working out, And why do you want to go into a smaller location? You say here you have a hodgepodge of offices. Well, there you won't have a hodgepodge of offices. You just won't have any extra space to put any more offices in. Of course, you're going to have the elevator. I guess I don't know how that's going to work. You have an elevator, hadn't worked for 15 or 20 years, so you're going to have to deal with that. But I mean, I just don't understand, it's why. Does anyone here really have to explain? Can you all explain to me? I mean, why it's such a great buy besides excited, a great addition, be more user-friendly, more accessible to the public. So you've been having any problem getting here today? It seems pretty accessible to me. I've never had any problem dealing with anything up here. You come to the city. It's not like you have to climb a rope ladder to get up to anything.
Mayor, point of order. Are we observing the 3-minute word rule or not? It wasn't announced,
Oh,
but
I
that's,
didn't know that. I would have talked faster. I just want an explanation how you can justify spending 200,000 more if you pay the appraised price, 454. You go to buy a piece of property, you go to buy a realtor. Well, how much is the property? Well, it's 250,000. Heck, but I'll just give you 400,000. I got all kind of money. You're spending the public's money here. You're supposed to look upon this money in a frugal way. You're supposed to look upon it as if you're spending your money, not our money, and all of our money. That's what you're spending. Well, it's just a bunch of it. It's not going to be a problem. It's all going to be coming in. The economy's really booming. Look at downtown Oak Hill.
Mr. Garvin, your time has
My
elapsed.
time has expired.
Yes, sir.
God bless you.
Mr. Fox.
I bring positive news. First of all, I want to say great what you did out there for Mr. Hannabass in the 4 years I was up here. Mr. Hannabass always done great things. We didn't always see eye to eye, but we always found a common ground. I think that's something that everybody needs to work on. You got to find some common ground. I appreciate his time, his efforts, and everything he's ever done. And the reason why I'm here is I had some classmates of my dad's hollered me about painting the rail trail bench. And I put them off as long as I can, but they were they were persistent. They never give up. So I got a hold of Bill and Mr. Kurt, and they uprooted the bench, brought it to me. I painted it and they put it back. And I wanted to say thanks to Day. And now I have about 6 or 7 more to paint, I think. I received a good, Day said I was opening a can of worms. I said, that's all right. I like to go fishing. So I'm asking the city manager and the mayor and the city council if it would be best if pick one of those benches. They want me to paint them on the site to save time because I know the workers are extremely busy this time of the year with grass cutting and everything else. And it don't take me long to do that. I was wanting council's blessing. There's about 5 more that need some paint, and those family members have reached out to me. So it's whatever the council's wish is. I can do them on site instead of taking them up and bringing them to me. Whatever works easiest for everybody. I'm
If
flexible.
if it's not a problem for you with your paint equipment, I mean, that's obviously easier on us to.
Yeah, I can do them where they're at.
Yeah.
I'm asking everything
It's
off.
easier on the benches too.
Yeah, because them
Yeah.
suckers are heavy.
Yeah, they are.
I mean,
Yeah, they're
you
well
know,
built.
You got to be a stout lad to take those benches. And a very determined person to steal one of those benches too. But I wanted to say thank you very much, council members, and especially you, Bill. Thank you for your time and service to the city. I knew you before, I knew you then, and I know you now, and I appreciate you.
And you'll know me.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh,
yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Janine Robinson.
Good evening. Good evening. As you guys know, I'm not a formal public speaker, so I just typed up some things on my phone, so that's why I'm looking at my phone. Thank you guys for all that you do, especially a big thank you to Bill. We're
Thank
gonna
you.
miss you terribly around here. And I'm so excited that Demita's applied for the job because I think she'd be a great asset. Not like she's not already, but I think she would be an awesome candidate. So I would like to address two things that are on the agenda. I'll speak fast and keep it under my 3 minutes. The first, of course, is the Bbnt building. We had so many people stand up and say, yes, let's buy it. I've had conversations with multiple council members. I love that building. I would love to see it be in City Hall. I think it's a crappy buy right now. We can't spend that kind of money. It's not prudent to spend the public's money, which again, you've heard me stand up here and say, public money, public money, public money through Destination Downtown. This is the public's money. You guys wouldn't spend that to buy a home. You would not spend that to buy a car. If you said, oh, there's a $40,000 car, you're not gonna spend $100,000 for it. There's also upgrades that need to be done. We know this, and we don't even know the actual costs because until you buy something, until it's yours, you don't know the actual cost. I highly suspect many of you guys would not do this with your own money. So it shocks me that council has voted to move forward with this. And I'll be honest with you, many people have approached me and asked me what my opinion was, and I've told them this exact same thing. And everybody in town that does not want this to happen due to the cost. It's not the fact that we don't want it to happen, but we don't want to spend that kind of money. It looks like a good old boys club deal. The second thing is there's something on the agenda about bringing in a TV station. I'm unsure why, again, we're spending money we don't need to. YouTube is free. I love to watch you guys when I can't be here. I'll be honest, you guys put me to sleep some nights because I watch it on my way to bed and I catch up on what's going on. I don't have time sometimes to sit and watch it the night it happens. I love having the archives. I also like to look back and see who said what, because sometimes I'm mistaken and I like to have my facts straight. So I appreciate your time. Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Tuggle.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, this is hopefully a positive note here. Since Bill was being recognized, I felt like it, on behalf of Region 4 Planning and Development Council, which represents 5 counties, Fayette, Greenbrier, Nicholas, Webster, and Pocahontas. And just want to say a few words on behalf of the region about Bill. Number one, my credentials for doing so, some of you know, I've been in this job for 8.5 years now. That's really hard to believe, but I think Mr. Oxley will know that I've been coming to these meetings since the 80s. I was an engineer for a long time and worked with the city for many years. So I have a little bit of knowledge of what all's gone on over the years. And I know that Bill has been an excellent leader in this city. There's been some really tough projects, public outcry on a lot of them. But most of the time, and people don't know this, they never get to see it because it's in the backstage. Agencies drive those situations. When you have a sewer issue, I mean, Arbuckle PSD, for whatever reason, was a failing PSD. We won't try to blame anybody for that, but Oak Hill stepped up and came in, not because of anything other than the agencies were kind of saying, hey, we need you to do that. And I'm talking the Public Service Commission, USDA, EDA, all those people were begging that. So those types of things. Bill took a lot of heat over that, but he did it in a manner that was diplomatic and for the best of this whole community in here. The other thing I'd like to say is, the economic development part of things, for tourism and that type of stuff, the rail trail issues, he did an excellent job leading those kind of things with the help of you guys, everything that happened there. And the demolition of structures. I've been on the structural inspection board here for a long time. I don't know how long. And Bill came forth with the technology, up in the technology of how we do that and rating buildings and bringing transparency and a justification for how we handle buildings. And therefore we could defend any decision we made. We had good information. It was data driven. It was not subjective at all. And that came from Bill. He worked that out and led the charge with that. Finally, I want to say that on behalf of Region 4, he's been a huge part of the leadership of Region 4. He's been an officer, I don't know how many times within the region. And he's also been a great advisor throughout the years. And we just want to say thank you, Bill, for all that. And the MPO too, that we have a Fayette Raleigh Metropolitan Planning Organization. And a lot of people don't understand, and understandably why. It's transportation based, but Bill was involved with that too and stepped up and when great advisor there. So we just want to say thank you, Bill, and Region 4 is going to miss you tremendously.
Thank you, John.
Mr. Ayers. Jim Ayers.
I'm just gonna make it real brief. A lot of things going around in this town where city council fighting amongst yourselves. I mean, y'all know who I'm talking about, more than likely. We need to put our differences aside and work for Oak Hill. I mean, y'all are all been elected to represent all the people of Oak Hill. Whatever your personal differences are, need to stay out of politics and just start working for the people, please.
That concludes citizens' comments. A minute from the minutes I'm going to skip for tonight. And then unfinished business. Number 1, consideration to adopt a resolution to lay an assessment lien on property located at 312 Main Street, map 32, parcel 499, owned by Joy Lynn Farish. Mr. Hannibal.
Okay. There is a resolution in your packet. I can open that up if council hasn't looked at it. It's $6,737, I believe, for the demolition cost, the contract, the administrative cost for the demolition of this. And you all received my report last month. If anybody wants me to pull a document up, I'll be glad to. But this is next to the Methodist Church on Main Street. So.
Bill, do you have any idea as to whether they intend to reimburse the city? I know you've worked very closely with the parishes.
I have. They intend to. They may do it in a payment situation, but they intend to reimburse the city for that and remove the lien from the property. They have been noticed this evening, though, that there is a lien about to be placed.
I move that we approve the motion to adopt a resolution to lay an assessment lien on property located at 312 Main Street, map 32, parcel 499.
A second.
Been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to. Number 2, progress report of property located 526 Gatewood Road, map 13, parcel 139, owned by Property Traders. Mr. Hannibal.
Okay. I'm going to see if Mr. Love is on the Zoom meeting. Mr. Love, are you present? There's a phone number and a Walter Upton listed. Okay, it doesn't appear he's here. He may sign in later, Mayor, but and I know Rhonda Falk has corresponded with him, I think spoken with him or emailed him back and forth. So he's not here right now. Rhonda's here. I didn't just now saw her. So we can go back to that, or you all can. There hadn't been a lot of activity that I've been able to see. I went by on purpose about 2 weeks ago and drove around the building. I actually walked around the building.
It looks like there's progress there, though.
There has been.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
there's seems like
And I
substantial.
think I took well, maybe I didn't.
because I went out there as well. Walked around, looked at it. It looks like there's a lot of progress being done on that building. I,
Yeah.
of course, couldn't go inside, but on the
Right.
outside.
Well, council, you can wait, possibly he'll join the meeting at a later time, or you could table this for another month, whatever council would desire.
What's the two options? I'm sorry.
You could table this until you get an update next month, and Ms. Falk could contact him.
You do.
I make a motion, we table it till
A
next month.
second.
Properly moved and seconded that we table the progress report of property located 526 Gatewood Road, owned by the property traders. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to. It's tabled 7-0, which moves us to 3, Spirit of Oak Hill Award Committee Progress Report, and that is going to be presented by Councilwoman Hodges.
So the committee, the committee met on May 23rd and June 6th. We are currently working on our nomination form, and we will be meeting again on June 27th. 5:30, I believe, Mayor. is when we're
5:30,
meeting. Yeah.
yes.
5:30.
Did I see where there would be 2 nominations? Where did I read
Each
that?
time, yeah,
Okay.
we'll have 2 nominations. We're still finalizing, which we'll present to council before we make it public.
Is that twice a year?
Yes, twice a year.
Twice a year. I think the next meeting on the 27th, we'll be discussing, what the award actually will look like.
Yeah.
The actual design of it. So I think we've met, Krista, 3 times total. 3 times or 4 times?
Four times, I believe.
We've met 4 times on it so far. Brings us to number 4, recommendation to council from the planning commission to change the zoning from R3 to B2 for map 7 parcel 30 East Main Street, second reading.
Okay, Mayor, this property is, where my cursor is the Seattle Tony Tires, and this is just south of there on Main Street. And it is currently R3, but the request is to change to B2. So commercial, a shop can be put in the ground floor. And this is the second reading, and the recommendation is a positive recommendation for the change from the Planning Commission.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve that request.
Second.
And properly moved and seconded. The council approved the planning commission's suggestion to change zoning from R3 to B2 for map 7 parcel 30 East Main Street, second reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to, 7-0. Which now moves us to number 5, consideration to contract with Wqaz Broadcasting. I think one of the letters that Mr. Oxley was going to read pertains to this. If you want
May I
to,
read it?
you want to do it now?
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
This, it has a memo attached. Dear Miss Johnson, clerk, enclosed is a letter I'd like to have sent to the mayor, council, and city manager. I regret any inconvenience, but could not find mailing addresses for individuals on your webpage. I'm okay with you email these if that is easy. It's unsigned. My employment requires me to attend meetings in person and virtually in a large part of West Virginia. I am involved in a regularly scheduled meeting that involves an organization covering 2 counties that Oak Hill is a participant in. We have met virtually since the beginning of the pandemic with no in-person interaction. We plan to begin having these meetings as a combination of in-person and virtual meetings. We make these plans with the realization that meetings may again become restricted and to have the Zoom option available to eliminate travel for attendees with a very short presentation. There are very few options for a meeting room in Zoom that is conducive to public comment, display of documents and photos,
not cumbersome by having multiple microphones clashing and live streamed to YouTube. Among the membership of this organization, the council members of Oak Hill is apparently the only one adequate. I am a resident of the two-county area, so I watch the Oak Hill City Council meetings on YouTube. I noticed that the subject of a contract with WQAZ was tabled at the last meeting. I am curious why this is considered and hopeful that council does not pursue this in the future. I know that WQAZ is a den of political activists, and acquiring a payday for that station at the expense of taxpayers would certainly be a political favor in exchange for future political campaigns and shenanigans. WQAZ requires internet service, and many more residents of Oak Hill have had internet than cable TV. Internet is available on cellular phones, so the option to watch council meeting is mobile. YouTube meetings may be watched live at any future time and in as many times as desired. I know there's a small number of residents without internet, but that have cable TV, and they have an option to attend or have someone assist them in gaining access to a recording of the meetings at any time. There are also residents who have neither cable TV nor internet, and WQAZ would not assist them at all. Another downside to WQAZ is the meetings will be aired live, I assume, and possibly be aired a few times after a particular meeting. YouTube currently is aired live, and all prior meetings available for viewing at any time and months and years into the future. I hope your plans for the Bbnt building include modern technology in broadcasting council meetings instead of taking a step backwards with cable TV and WQAZ. Please keep the public informed of all the ancillary costs such as this in moving to a new location. Sincerely, I must remain anonymous per employment requirements. Unsigned. I appreciate, Mayor, I guess it's a quote from WQAZ. Is that what we're saying? For per meeting, I think it's $400 per meeting. Is it correct? Yes. Well, I was going to mention that we have someone in the audience. I noticed Mr. McGuffin is here, and Mr. McGuffin has New River Network, which provides a service to communities around here. And if it would please council, he would like to make a comment.
I have 3 minutes. Yeah, you can come up here.
Many of you on council, of course, knew who I am. For those who do not, my name is Darren McGuffin. I am currently a citizen here in Oak Hill and co-owner of the New River Network. That is a DBA of the Blue Horizon Media LLC. Our main office is located in Lewisburg, West Virginia. The other owner of the station is Mr. Joe Sharp. He's home watching the meeting tonight. Unfortunately, he couldn't attend. But I was made aware by several council members of a upcoming vote on a contract pertaining to the broadcasting of city council meetings and public events of interest in the future. And I'd like to make a few comments on that. Specifically, the broadcasting of government meetings here at City Hall. And I see the quote was giving to the council of $400 per meeting. And I'd like to show a technical demonstration to the council. If I get my phone turned around. This video is utilizing your YouTube stream. This video is currently live on Sudden Link cable on the channel I co-own in Lewisburg. It's utilizing the technology you have in place here at City Hall. That being the Zoom platform streaming to YouTube. YouTube can be used in its native format and be placed on various other platforms, including cable. And as a technical demonstration, we took a portion of the night's meeting live and placed it on the cable system for you to see an example of this technology being utilized. And the question is, how much does our company charge to broadcast a government meeting such as the council meetings live? And that answer is $50 per meeting. And that's because it's utilizing the technology you have currently in place. You have a single camera mounted on the ceiling, the Zoom platform No additional equipment is needed within the council room itself. No additional cameras, microphones, anything at all other than the technology you have in place. And that's something we're trying to utilize more and more on the local level. There's lots of things that could be broadcast out there, but they don't necessarily have the funding or the room to bring all this equipment in. And that's something we've done a few examples of here recently on our channel. The second thing is the broadcasting of public events such as the Oak Leaf Festival and Rail Trail Expo. I'm personally not in favor of contracting public events out, for the reason being, if you would sign a contract with any individual to broadcast these events, it still does not prevent any other broadcasting organization from showing up themselves and broadcasting these events simultaneously. For the example of the Oak Leaf Festival, it's on public property. There's no laws prohibiting broadcasters from showing up, not only ourselves, but organizations such as WOI, WVNS, WVBA. We all individually have the right to be there. So why contract these events out when most likely they will get coverage regardless of $1,000 being spent? And our organization does intend to be at the Oak Leaf Festival. And many of you have seen examples of our work. It's really good. Coach Jackson, he's seen our work personally, seen our equipment personally. We've invested quite a bit of money in this area to bring the technology in that's needed to bring a high quality broadcast to the viewers at home. We obtain the same technology the major network broadcasters have. That's why it looks like it does when you turn it on, whatever platform that may be. And there's a question about utilizing platforms such as YouTube. I encourage it. A lot of government organizations across this county, including the county commission, the Board of Education utilize it, and other areas of the state, they also utilize this technology. But like I said, the technology is out there to utilize what you have in place for much cheaper. So I stand in opposition of voting in favor of this contract. I feel like it will cost the council in the city of Oak Hill more money than it should. Just another example, if our organization would charge for a public event such as a parade or public event, our average price is $300 to $500 per event, because typically broadcast organizations rely on advertising to cover the expenses associated with doing the broadcast. So, like I said, I was made aware of this contract that was up for vote tonight. Much cheaper options are out there. At some point, if the council is willing to sit down and discuss what some of these options are, there's a lot more ways you can integrate technology into your council meetings that won't cost an arm and a leg for the city. And thousands of dollars is a lot of money. And that's something we're trying to make better for our citizens in the local area, is making broadcasting more affordable for the average person and average business within the city of Oak Hill. So a little bit over my time, but I hope you take what I said in consideration tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Darren.
Mayor, I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask Darren.
Yes.
Is your broadcast on TV? And how does what you do different than what we're already doing as far as YouTube virtual
Yes, our broadcast is on TV
in this area?
in Greenbrier County currently.
In
But
Greenbrier, but
it's a-
not in Fayette.
It's a demonstration, though, that technology can be used to give a much cheaper price to the council.
But it's not available in Fayette.
Potentially it can be. Our organization is working for a leased access channel here in Fayette County. As mentioned by the letter Council Member Oxley read, broadcasting is very political. I'm not part of that political clique, nor do I want to be. So I tend to do things a little differently. So if it takes a leased access channel in this area to make broadcasting more available in bringing in individuals that aren't political figures.
So I think I heard you say it's not available in this area right now.
We do offer a Roku channel, full 24/7. We do offer Facebook, YouTube, and that's something that a lot of people have to realize, especially the older generation. There's a lot of people without cable now, and we've invested in cable, but we've also invested greatly and the new technology out there. I'm one of the only registered Roku app developers and Amazon Fire app developers in this area. I can have a Roku channel up for the city of Oak Hill in a 3-day time period. So the
I'm sorry. My other question was what you're proposing, how does it differ from what we're already doing? We're on YouTube. We're broadcasting virtually. So what you're proposing, how is it different?
If there is a desire to get more exposure for these council meetings, you can utilize the current stream that you're sending out, such as tonight, and place it on other platforms such as Facebook, Roku, what have you. You can also integrate this same stream on the City of Oak Hill website, not only with the live broadcast, but with the archive version, the video on demand. And that can also be done on Roku, as some of you may have went back and watched a number of our previous broadcasts.
So this would be live?
Yes.
The parade, the trails, and it's being done with a cell phone?
No, we have invested quite a bit of money. Our broadcasting capabilities, for those who have seen it in person, rival that of anything else in the state. And as far as the quality, we've invested in the same technology that the major networks. When I say major networks, I'm talking about the WAYs, the WVNSs, the WVBAs. We've invested in that same technology to bring that into this area to be able to put these local events on in high quality. And when I'm speaking of high quality, some of you may think that's subjective, but high quality to me is high definition. It's comparable quality to other areas of the state. You got Summersville Community TV, the Greenbrier Valley Channel, just to name a couple in the surrounding counties. 100% of their content is high definition. 100%. You can go back and watch it anytime on YouTube, any social media platform. That's what I wanted to bring to Fayette County in organizing the New Urban Network in this area, because that was always an issue, was the quality. And that's something we invested heavily in. And not only do we do high definition, we're currently investing in the technology to do ultra high definition. Before this fall, we will have 100% of our equipment replaced out with ultra high definition cameras, switchers, and equipment.
Darren, I'm confused. My question was, do you use cameras? Yes or no?
Yes.
You do use cameras?
A large number of cameras.
And you use those when you broadcast the Oak Hill ball games?
Yes, yes.
You don't use a cell phone?
No, we typically use about, Coach Jackson, baseball game, 5 cameras.
Yeah.
We use some of the highest number of cameras for any broadcast in the state.
Okay. The only other thing I would say is that, or a couple of things. Number one, the $1,000 was a transfer where the parade, the group presently gets. They presently invest that money for broadcasting. So that would give them an additional $1,000. Okay. The second thing I would say is we have sat here for 2 or 3 council meetings and heard little old ladies and people accuse us of not being transparent. And in my opinion, this is another mean, and everyone, you've said it, does not have computers. Everyone does not have access. And we've heard a little old lady say one time before, I don't have a computer. But most people, I'd say 99, and I don't have any ways to prove this, most people do have a TV. So it would be an effort to be more transparent. It would be an effort to broadcast live so that those people can't make it to the council meeting may see that there's no backroom deals, there's no clandestine activities, and it may stop some of the rumor mills and gossip. So for those reasons, obviously, and I gain nothing from this,
and
political or otherwise.
Just my personal experience in politics. I promoted the broadcasting of as much Board of Education meetings as possible, because previously there was a lot of disinformation within the county. And there's issues in other towns and municipalities within this county about transparency, and a number of them actually do not broadcast their meetings. I believe the city of Oak Hill is about the only one that does, and that's a good thing. But there's options out there if you want to get more exposure for these meetings and other outlets, and it's affordable. And that's why I'm here tonight, to let you know that it is affordable to put these meetings on other platforms. But I recommend not spending thousands of dollars to do it because it can be done a lot cheaper.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I would move that Mr. McGuffin submit a written proposal, pricing and qualifications and capabilities to the council for review and possible recommendation.
Second.
Been properly moved, and seconded, that Mr. McGuffin will present to city council a possible recommendation. Also, he will lay out the quality, the work he does, and the cost. Is that right, Mr.?
Yeah.
All right, any discussion?
I have one thing. And maybe in the proposal, could you put in there like how long it would take for you to get a channel to maybe put it on cable TV if that's an option? Like for Oak Hill.
That has been discussed. Just to clarify what Mr. Jackson is speaking of, within the cable franchise agreement with Suddenlink, it is possible for the city of Oak Hill to have their own individual channel. So that is a right as a franchisee holder here in the city of Oak Hill to request a channel individually for the city with Suddenlink. So just to clarify, in case there was any confusion with what was just said, but that is a possibility. And that's something I'd be willing to discuss with the city of Oak Hill. And I would actually be willing to do that at no cost in providing the equipment to do so.
And that would have to go through FCC, yes or no?
No, that is directly between the city of Oak Hill, the Public Service Commission, and
Something about a
Suddenlink.
channel.
No, when you,
FCC doesn't have to prove it.
not when you're dealing strictly with cable TV. If it's on a licensed transmitter, yes. But as long as it's turned in under the, as like I said, the franchise agreement, PSC approves it, Suddenlink agrees to it, you can get a channel.
I would also like to amend Mr. Oxley's motion that we extend the same opportunity to the Signer Foundation.
To do what Mr.
Oxley suggested for.
Suggested for Mr.
I would not only let that amendment stand, but any other communications,
Yeah.
that's what we do. So, sure.
I was made aware of tonight's agenda. I was actually in California during this past meeting, but after arriving back here in Oak Hill, I was made aware of it, yes.
Yeah. And the other thing, if anybody else in the city that does it, we need to make sure that they get a chance to bid on it or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Yeah.
You do live in the city limits? I think you stated that.
Currently, yes, I do.
Okay. I mean, that shouldn't matter, but
Okay.
I'll move the previous question.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion's agreed to 7-0.
Thank you, Darren.
Which now moves us to new business. A bid opening and contract award for street paving, Mr. Hannibas.
Okay. Mayor, Mr. Kirk and I have marked the streets and kept council informed of what streets those are. We had a pre-bid conference and 3 contractors attended the conference, and I have 3 bids. So I will open them at this time. Okay, the first envelope sealed bid that I'm opening is from AAA Paving and Sealing, Princeton, West Virginia.
Yes.
A very quick review of the bid packet looks complete with bid bonds and insurance and et cetera, et cetera. And the bottom line cost is $215,071. $215,071. The next sealed bid that I will open is from Southern West Virginia Paving. Cursory review of the packet appears to be a complete packet. And the total amount bid is $207,000 even. The third sealed bid is from Asphalt Contractors and Site Work in Lavalette, West Virginia. Bid packet appears to be complete. And the bid amount is $269,873.
Mayor, I would move that we accept the Southern West Virginia bid of $207,000.
I'll second.
Been properly moved, seconded that we accept the Southern West Virginia Paving bid of $207,000. Mr. Hannah, what streets are we looking at here?
Okay, they are marked on the map, and I also have a list. I can open it up, and this map is available to council. I can show you how to get on it. It's available to the public, as a matter of fact. These are the streets on the screen in front of you: Ridgewood Avenue, Victory Street. I'm sorry, there's a typo. Victory Street, Adkins Avenue, Wilson Street, Brook Street, Woodbridge Road, Harris Street, Round Hill Road, Terry Avenue, and South Loop Drive. And some of those are just portions of the street. Some are long stretches. And for example, Terry Avenue has two different sections we're paving on that. So
Very good.
All right, it's been properly moved to second. Any other questions? Any comments? We'll now vote the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to. 7-0. Which now moves us to number 7, temporary employment agreements with Amita Johnson, David Kirk, Valerie Vaughn, and Charles Pennell. Mr. Hanback, or somebody.
yes, sir. Council had asked me to get together upon my retirement to get together some agreements with employees they're going to take up some of the slack for after my departure, effective. My last day technically is July the 5th, and these were agreements with Mr. Kirk, helping Demita Johnson as the Public Works Director take some of the responsibilities of the city manager, and Valerie Vaughn doing the same with the Oak Hill Sanitary Board, and Mr. Purnell taking up some slack from for Mr. Kirk as he assists Ms. Johnson.
Mr. Hannibal, the total cost per month is,
$8,000.
it's my understanding that that may be $1,000 saving. And
I think it is.
I could be in
It
error.
will be, yes, sir.
You know, I would like to express my appreciation to those persons who have agreed during this transition to step forward. I think we've kind of discussed this. And I think in fairness to Ms. Johnson, that we should facilitate anything and everything that allows her to be successful and allows this transition to be smooth. So for that reason, I would move that we accept the agreements or approve the agreements as to be signed between Ms. Demita, Dave Kirk, Valerie, and Charles Pennell.
I'll second that.
Properly moved and second that the city council accept the employment agreements with Demita Johnson, David Kirk, Valerie Vaughn, and Charles Pennell in the transition from the retirement of Bill Hannibal. I have a question here. I know what Demita Johnson and David Kirk will be doing, but what will be the job for Valerie Vaughn and Charles Pennell?
They would, it's my understanding, Mayor, that Valerie Vaughn is going to have to assist with some of the duties of the Oak Hill Sanitary Board as she fills the shoes of the city manager. And also, Mr. Purnell is going to have to take on additional duties in the Public Works Department as Mr. Kirk is tied up with city manager functions.
So Ms. Vaughn's still going to work in the sanitary board
She,
and anything, I mean, there's something else besides that?
no, sir.
She's goes, that's where she is
She'll-
now, isn't she?
Correct.
And she will be doing some of my job, my duties as city clerk and treasurer.
Oh, okay. That's what I was trying to
Yep.
get to there. Okay.
I think she assists as well now, doesn't she, Demita? Sometimes from time to time.
She's the backup on some of the things that I do. If I'm gone, she does some of those duties.
If I remember correctly, also with Mr. Pennell, Mr. Kirk indicated that perhaps that would be a, for lack of a better word, training for him in the event that Mr. Kirk, and I think this is very prudent to provide for promotable, trainable people. And so that we don't get in a box with these situations. So again, obviously I'm for the motion.
All right. And properly moved and second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to 7-0, which moves us to number 8, appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. A, reappoint Jack Buda to the Sanitary Board. B, reappoint Matthew Winder and Steve Moss to the Planning Commission. C, reappoint David Stewart to the Building Commission. And D, appointment to fill vacancy on Board of Zoning Appeals. So
Is
we-
that Mr. Phillips on the Board of Zoning Appeals?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So we need a name there then.
Yes, sir. Number D needs a name and
Mayor, I'd like to recommend Jim Ayers for D. He has attended all council meetings. He's a resident of the city. He's a businessman, and he's been deeply involved in what happens in the city. So I would like to see him approve that.
Are there any other names from council besides Mr. Perry's? All right. Since there are no other names, so is there a motion that we approve A, B, C, D with Jim Ayers as the vacancy? Is there a motion to fill those 4?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to, 7-0, which moves us to number 9, intergovernmental agreement with the Fayette County and building code adoption. Mr. Hannibal?
yes, sir. This is a fairly routine item that we handle this time every year in June. It's effective July. And it's an agreement with the Fayette County government with our building code inspection program. We issue building code permits. The Office of Building Code Inspection at the county is the inspecting office. We've had this situation for more than 5 years. And in addition to the agreement that's in your packet, there is an update in the code. It's a 2022 update that will be in effect till, I believe, 2027. Is that right, Ms. Richardson? Do you remember? I think it's 2027 that it will be in effect until, and that's routine as well. About every 5 years, there's an update to the building code. And that is within the contract or the intergovernmental agreement with Fayette County. And I'm glad to pull that up if anybody would want to look at the agreement.
Does it cost anything?
No, and as always with this agreement, the building code, the building permit fee, part of that's actually rebated back to the city for the administration of that. It goes to pay for the inspection, and I see a contractor back here that gets building permits. And so part of that comes back to the city for the administration.
I'll make a motion that we renew our intergovernmental agreement with Fayette County regarding building code adoption.
Second.
And properly moved in second, we accept the intergovernmental agreement. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to, 7-0. Which moves us to number 10, Structural Inspection Board's recommendation to order demolition of structure located at 103 Hayes Street, map 25, parcel 78, owned by Tammy Lynn Gibson and Charles Brack. Mr. Hannabas.
Yes, sir. The owners of this property have been notified. And I'm going to ask at this time, is there a property owner or representative of the property owner in attendance this evening for 103 Hayes Street? Okay. They have been notified by service from a Fayette County deputy that this recommendation would be taken up for consideration by the city council. And I'm going to scroll through just a few photographs. And as Mr. Tuggle alluded to earlier, we grade each structure on many different aspects. There was a house fire at this location.
I make a motion that we follow the Structural Inspection Board's recommendation for demolition structure at 103 Hayes.
I'll second that.
And properly moved and seconded that we order the demolition of structure 103 Hayes Street. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to, 7-0, which moves us to number 11, the general fund and coal severance budget revision.
Ms. Johnson, do you have,
It's in the, it's in the packet.
you want me to open it
Yeah,
up?
if you want to, or if you have looked at it,
It's in the packet, right?
yes.
Yes.
The general fund revision is, I needed to tweak a few things from the revision we did last month. So that's what that is in total. I combined the two. And then the coal severance revision just updates the revenues. We got more than we expected. So that's coming back a little. And so I just adjusted that.
I move we accept the general fund coal severance budget revision.
I'll second it.
And properly moved and seconded, we accept the coal severance budget revision. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion's agreed to, 7-0. Which moves us to number 12, establish a transition committee for relocating offices of the city to the former Bbnt Bank Building.
Mayor, this was requested to be on the agenda, and I do not have any documents, but it speaks for itself for a committee to handle the
Transition.
yeah, the move, the myriad considerations of moving from this structure to the former Bbnt building.
Mayor, I think if we continue that this is very necessary, that the employees here in the city hall be part of this process to look at review offices space, to consider how the exchange will occur in terms of moving equipment and so forth. And I would like to suggest that Rhonda Falk, Darlene Richardson, and Steve Hazlett sit on that committee along with Demita.
Now, how many people we're looking at here for this transition? 4, just 4? I mean, any other names anyone else has?
I think the Mayor should be a part of it.
Mayor, yeah.
Oh,
And I think David Kirk would be
Okay.
beneficial to have him.
so we're looking at 6 then.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
Have those individuals that you mentioned already agreed to be on there, like Rhonda?
I have not talked with anyone because I don't want to be accused of a backroom deal or
Gotcha.
I just
Good old
found out
boy.
about it too.
Oh, you just now found
I
out?
just now found out.
Well, I wasn't picked, so I don't know.
found out what, Steve,
I just found out about
Oh.
it.
but it was on the agenda, right? And most of those persons are here and I'd say they could give a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
I saw Miss Richardson give a thumbs up.
Good.
I mean,
Her husband held her thumb.
Yeah, I saw him hold her thumb.
You don't want on it? So Darlene does not.
Miss Richardson does not. All right.
Okay.
Somebody have another name then?
How about Valerie?
I was gonna say Valerie.
Valerie Vaughn, all right. All right. So that
Demita, you can,
she's
she's gonna be the city manager. Why don't she? pick-
She's on there.
I mean, why don't she be, why don't she just lead the transition and get her some people? Maybe just talk to some people at the city.
And these people are fine
Yeah.
that are,
instead of us.
And so the names are David Kirk, Mayor Wright, Rhonda Falk, Steve Hazlett, Demita Johnson, and Valerie Vaughn. Are those the names?
I move the previous motion
All right.
to accept those persons. Beg those people or commend them
So you're making the motion for these 6.
to establish this committee.
Okay. Is there a
These-
second? Second, Mr. Smallwood. Been properly moved and second. Any more discussion?
Is it 6 or 5? I'm
Let
counting
me see.
5.
1,
I have
2,
5.
3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, I have,
David Kirk, the mayor, Rhonda.
oh, I left you off
Steve.
there. I'm sorry.
Most people do. So those are 6. All right, it's been properly moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, no.
No,
The motion is agreed to, 6-1. Which now moves us to 13, the Southern Appalachian Labor School request for funding to repair roof at the historic Oak Hill School. Mr. Hannibal.
Okay, this was a request by a member of council to have this on the agenda for Mr. David has been here before on, I don't have a document for it.
I asked Bill to put that on, Mayor. I know Mr. David's been here a number of times requesting our assistance. I think he's also been to Bay County Commission a number of times, and you haven't got a nod from them as yet, right? I don't want to see us give him money as giving it to him. I would like to see us pledge an amount that hopefully would get the county to commit to something. I know that the amount, I just asked him for the meeting because I forgot what it was. He said he thought it was 113,000. Certainly, we don't want to give that much, even if we can afford to do it. But I think we need to at least pledge our support financially contingent upon their response. And that's
Tom, if
kind
my
of-
memory serves me correctly, that's what our previous action was.
Right, but I don't know that they've taken that into account. Have they, John?
Has it been?
Are they aware, I mean, maybe a letter to the county commission?
Sounds good.
They have a letter from us? I understand. We just can't go out on a limb and give money with no other support coming in. I don't know that I would have any way, but I would be glad to appear on your behalf, not the city's behalf, but on your behalf before Fayette County Commission, if you'd like.
Tom, I see no reason why you couldn't appear on our behalf.
Well, I don't know that I don't want to speak for the city, but I would speak to the idea that we would.
Right,
Yeah. do
which
that.
we had voted on taking a position, so you'd be representing the council.
So, John, if you'll do that, if you'll get us on the agenda, I'll be glad to go with you. Just let me know the date so I don't have a conflict.
Hey, I got a question. John, is there any other funding streams that you went after besides the county commission and the city to help with the repairs? Is it, you got other money coming from somewhere to do that?
They're still working on that. John, was the earmarks submitted on your behalf for that? A congressional directed budget request was earmarked? Didn't someone go in for money for you? No, I don't mean county commission. On behalf of Sal's and the historic school, did no one file an earmark request for you? Yeah. Oh, I apologize. You're right. I understand. I remember that now. I'm sorry. Well, they should include in there, if they're going to do that third floor apartments, they better put a roof on it. Do you have a copy of that request? Do you have a copy of that request? Would you make it available to me? The earmark. Okay. Okay, thanks. And I'll withdraw my motion and we'll proceed as we've discussed here.
So number 13, what is the, Will, what are we going to do with that?
I withdrew my motion.
All
I
right.
think we.
I don't have, it didn't have a second. Then.
No.
I think what we said, it would be repetitive.
Yeah.
Which we'd always taken that position, and that Mr. Oxley agreed to appear with John David, and I would make a motion that he appear as a representative for the council with John David, if he feels comfortable doing that.
Yeah,
So-
I'm okay. Well, I'm just not gonna promise him Chanel number
Oh,
5.
I understand.
Yeah.
I want you to feel comfortable that
Yeah,
Number 6.
we're behind.
So is that going to be the motion then in place of funding to the repair of the roof from the city? That you will appear before the county commission to speak on behalf of the city regarding what contribution that the city might make towards Dr. David's leaky roof? Is that about it? All right. Is there a second? Is there? Mr. Garvin? Yes, sir. Thank you. You have to come back next time. All right, is there a second? Did somebody second it? I think he did.
No. I withdrew my motion.
But I mean, the motion to send you to the county commission.
To represent the council.
That was Mr.
Yes.
Perry's.
Yeah.
All right, is there a second? Who did?
Nobody.
You want to second it?
For you to go over there?
Yes.
Huh?
Okay, yeah, I'll second it.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? Hearing none, we vote the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion's agreed to. Which moves us to 14. Consideration of an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of and the design, construction, and equipping of additions, betterments, and improvements to certain real estate located at 101 Main Street, East Oak Hill, West Virginia, the issuance of the Oak Hill Building Commission of Lease Revenue Bond Series 2022 to finance the above described purchase and design, acquisition, construction, and equipping of the real estate of the real property and the cost of insurance thereof, and the leasing of the real property by the city from the Building Commission to serve as a city hall. First reading.
Mayor Mias, what's the amount on the bond?
I don't have it here.
That is in the document that John Stump sent to us.
It wasn't in the. I went
It
and
was,
looked, I couldn't find it. It was empty.
It's on the.
Yeah, Tom, this is John Stump. The amount
Okay.
is $1,500,000. That's what will be in the building commission ordinance because they actually issue the bonds.
And so does that include closing costs?
Mita and Dave got together and yes, that would include closing costs. And I believe it includes the acquisition price. And it includes, as I understand it, some portion of what the cost of renovations are going to be. But yes, and it's a maximum amount. It's a not to exceed amount of 1.5 million because we've got to go through this process to get the ordinance in place. And during that time period, the city and the building commission can determine how much they want, you want to borrow.
The costs associated directly are 1.425 million. That's the 675,000 and the estimated 750,000. Now, those costs were determined by McKinley Architecture and Engineering Firm. And they listed a number of problems. And this is from McKinley's report. I didn't make this up. But there's water intrusion through the basement wall, leaking in around the cupola on the roof. Some of the stairs and sidewalks around the building need repaired or replaced. Extensive remodeling would be required to separate the spaces into offices suitable for city functions. No space that available that could be used for a repair shop and service area, storage of materials, vehicles and equipment that was available at the current city hall. There were concerns of accessibility and fire safety. A change in the function of the building. Fire code requires 2 exits from each floor. A new fire stair would need to be installed from inside or outside the building for second floor. Conversion and enhanced access would be needed for restrooms to be ADA compliant. The restroom on the main floor would have to be replaced at least one ADA restroom. This one concerns me because it's hard to put a cost on it. Electrical service disconnects are of the fuse type, so a stock of fuses would be required. There are also disconnects downstream of the main disconnects that makes the electrical very confusing. And that's not my words, but McKinley's. For some reason, there are 2 electric meters, and I'm sure that goes way back to maybe when the building was built. Fire alarm system appears to be outdated and lacks pull stations. Heating system consists of base floor heaters, which we all know to be totally inefficient, and unsure if the cooling system allows fresh air to be introduced into the conditioned airstream. We've also put money into this building for an emergency generator, which the Bbnt Bank building does not have. and also the electronic costs associated with all the IT in this building. I have no way of even saying how much that would be, but I doubt seriously that 1.5 million is going to cover the costs needed to make the upgrades. I don't want to belabor a point, but go back to one of the things that was mentioned, that first of all, there was no one talked to our staff at City Hall before these efforts were put into place. Everyone that works in City Hall after the fact said, I'm totally content with where I am. I don't see anything wrong with their building, and I don't know why we're going to this extent. And they work here 2,000 hours a year. The other people that we're supposedly building this for as a showpiece or centerpiece may come in once in a while, once a year, I don't know. But again, we're downsizing. We're taking on this cost that we really don't need to be taking on right now. Again, back to maybe what Mr. Garvin said, why would we offer 150% of the appraisal cost? It's just, it doesn't make sense. How many out here, don't speak, but raise your hand. How many out here have had a mortgage on a home? Did the bank set up appraisal, or their people gave them an appraisal? And did you offer to pay 150% of the appraisal cost, or what the loan cost would be? I don't think so. And we have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens of Oak Hill, the businesses of Oak Hill that pay B&O tax. We have a responsibility to keep them out of trouble, and that's out of trouble. I just don't know why we want to move forward to purchase this building at this time. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you.
Tom, I think we've discussed this since January.
We can discuss it until
And
next
I
January.
understand. I didn't interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think we've discussed it since January, and there has been a great deal of prudency done in arriving at the decision. There was a public meeting. We had, everyone tells, I've heard a large number of people support it. So we have fors and againsters. We are responsible for making a decision. I personally see this as progress, futuristic. And we got the architect's report. We got the report from the scientific people relevant to the discussion about it being mold. And all those reports are available. Now, Mr. Hazlett can attest to this. The question was asked, why are we giving more? It's my understanding that the city had an option to buy this. Am I correct, Steve?
We had the option to buy this, or could have had the option to buy this.
For 300,000, and it wasn't even discussed or considered. So yes, inflation does hit. Yes, it's more than what the city could have gotten it for and didn't take it. We also had an option on our discussion was Mr. Hayes before I arrived on the country club. We let that pass. But we sat here and we commend Fayetteville, we commend Beckley, we commend our surrounding cities for what they do and the progress they're making and the image they're creating. But we're satisfied with the status quo. Personally, I'm not satisfied with the status quo. I think it's futuristic. I think my children and grandchildren deserve it. And this building, I think, has proven down through the years that it was inadequate. It started with the police department. And if I remember, people didn't want a new police department. And the police department moved out to provide additional space, which we needed it. It's good. It's attractive. It speaks well. Then, or maybe the fire department first. Then the fire department moved out because there was inadequate space. And I'm not sure about the numbers that you keep quoting in terms of square foot. I'm not sure.
Well, yeah, I've got blueprints if you want.
But I know there's four floors there. I know that to build that building today, we have been told would cost $4 million. I also know that in 1970, a city council for us proposed building a new city council. They recognized in 1970 that this building perhaps was inadequate and they needed to move forward. At that time, they bought the corner property over here that was the Clyre Hardware at a price of $35,000 with the intent to build there. They chose not to. They invested $97,000 in this structure, which, I contend is been a good building. It served its time. It served its usefulness. It's time to move on. And if you'd like copies of what I'm referring to, I'll be happy to provide this to council. And I would like to ask that this be entered into the minutes as well.
It doesn't make sense. The building, it's got water damage. I've worked on it. I know what they're like to work on. I can't do it.
I would also say that we were told these weren't requirements to do. We could do them. And we were also told a minimum of 200, 700. So, again, we've had a public meeting, taking a vote. We've heard the fors and againers, and
I've heard a statement made that was move-in ready.
it was. We were told that we could move in without anything being done.
So I'd like to say something, aside from Mr. Oxley's statements, which I completely agree with. $1 million could be divided up into 40 $25,000 grants. We could do $25,000 commercial building facade grants and do $25,000 residential grants. If we're going to use 1% or 1% sales tax, we should make that money spread as far as we possibly can and make the most amount of impact that we can with that money. That's 20 commercial buildings that could be refaced, not just one building. Then that would leave $500,000 for us to do whatever we need to do to this current city hall.
Do you also know how much $1,425,000 could do in sidewalks? You probably saw me on my one-wheeler out there the other day, 5,700 feet of ADA compliant sidewalks. And that's not counting if you go for alternative grants to the Department of Transportation, you could spend only 20% of that and do the same distance.
All I gotta say is why ain't it done? Why ain't it done? Y'all here talking about all this good stuff to be done. Why ain't it come to fruition? Why?
It's
Why is it not?
kind of difficult to do that when we're looking at spending $1.5 million.
Mayor,
All right. Is there a motion regarding number 14?
I move that we accept the number 14 as presented by our bond counsel, as has been previously voted on, and would accept this.
I'll second it.
And properly moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote the motion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Oxley,
Absolutely not.
Counselor Hazlet,
Yes.
Counselor Jackson,
Yes.
Counselor Smallwood,
Yes.
Counselor Janey,
No.
Counselor Hodges,
No.
Counselor Perry.
Yes.
The motion's agreed to, 4-3. Department reports.
Thank you, John.
Department reports, city manager, do you have one?
For the,
Department
yes, sir, they're
reports.
in your, we were just having them, available in your packets. You want me to read it?
No, if you just have something else you want to add or just what's in the packet.
No, sir, that I have a submitted report. I will make a comment at this time, under the city manager's, department report. I appreciate everyone this evening and a lot of folks have left that were in the amphitheater. It's touching. It's a hard time for me. It's a bittersweet time for me. I'm a fortunate person who's lived the American dream, able to retire. On the other hand, I leave behind a lot of people that are very near and dear to me, in all departments, in the Oak Hill Sanitary Board, and I appreciate them greatly. And that's the part that I regret. And I appreciate the residents of Oak Hill. And like I say, it's bittersweet. It's hard for me to move on, but I'm healthy and it is time for me to go. This is a very difficult job, very, very difficult. Many hours, weekends included, and it's a very stressful job. And it's a job that average person cannot stay in this job very long. So thank you all very much, and I appreciate council. Appreciate what you've done for me and my good friends that in all capacities of this city. Thank all of you.
Mayor, I'd like to request that the city manager's remarks be entered into the agenda or into the minutes as having been given, exactly as he's given them.
Without objection.
No, sir. If the chief of the fire department, chief of the police department, Mr. Kirk, public works director, if you all have any comments.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Kirk, I can't say enough good about you. It's a job well done. That sums it up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kirk's report is already been submitted. Any questions to him regarding what you already have, council people? All right, for the police chief, Mr. Chief Wisman, his report's been submitted. Any questions to him?
Oh, I got a question. When will our two other signs be?
Plan on ordering them after first of July.
All right.
When the meter starts letting me spend.
Good deal.
For next year.
You may never get to spend that.
Fire chief, any questions of Chief Richardson from the report he's already submitted?
I'd like to ask the chief to give us a little kind of update on the progress of the addition. I think you met with.
We met with Mr. Beck once. We did have his staff come on to we did receive a very preliminary report of placement. We're waiting now to have a meeting.
With him. Did he do a survey of the property yet? Hadn't completed. Thank you. And I would say that the meeting that Mr. Smallwood and I dropped by, the chief and the firemen are doing an outstanding job supervising, overseeing what they desire. And correct me, that's 1.3 million, correct? 2 million, okay. Which it may go below or above with things going right now.
All right. It's a report from Erin Reed, Economic Development. She's not here today.
Aaron is on vacation.
Oh, okay. All right. Takes us to council comments at large on Mr. Oxley.
A couple of things, Mayor. I'll begin by reading this letter, and I can understand why you didn't want it read now after having read it. Dear administrators, in recent months, I've been following your council meetings on YouTube. Because I am retired, I have ample opportunities to watch not only your meetings, but several others in the state of West Virginia. As a mountaineer forever, I am interested in small towns in West Virginia and how they are faring through periods of economic decline. And if that was not enough, the COVID-19 pandemic. Finding Oak Hill to be similar in size to the town I grew up in, I looked at their budget, which was impressive, and wondered how the city was maintaining and possibly moving forward during these times. In the last couple of meetings, which I watched more than once, it was interesting to hear the discussions being held about the proposed purchase of an abandoned bank property. It appears that much of the deliberation to purchase the property was done outside of a scheduled council meeting. With a bachelor's degree in economics, I am always interested in new ways to attract economic development, and even more so downtown revitalization. I trust my information is accurate, and if so, I believe your city has found an unusual approach to downtown revitalization, one I hope will prove to be beneficial to the administration and to the resident taxpayers. As I understand the discussion, which appeared to be not unanimous, the building in question was purchased by a private concern several years ago for $300,000, was appraised in October 2021 for a fair market value of $454,000, and the city has agreed to purchase the property for $675,000. If the plan is to purchase properties that are sitting empty at a price significantly higher than the market value to prevent their property from deteriorating, I am concerned about how many buildings the city can purchase without running out of money. Further, it appears that the city has plans to relocate City Hall to this new acquired location, and an engineer's estimate that it would require $500,000 to $750,000 to renovate the building for use as a city hall. And I don't believe that included any costs for major system upgrades. As earlier mentioned, your budget seems impressive, but at this rate, any surplus you currently have will quickly disappear. I am curious, are there other buildings that the city plans to buy at prices significantly higher than the appraised value? I will continue to follow your meetings as I can. I saw in your meeting on May 9th that you may contract with a local television station to broadcast your meetings. I hope if you do, you will continue to also post your meetings on YouTube, as I will not be able to watch on the local TV channel. Good luck in your future endeavors. D. Brown, McCookville, Tennessee. That's it. And Mayor, I would like to make a couple comments also. For Bill Hannibus, after he weeded out all the employees that I had hired, he ended up with probably the best municipal staff that I'm familiar with.
Yep.
Each of them have more than one skill, and they're excellent in everything they do. They work well together and don't need a lot of direction. So that says a lot about yourself for Day and all the guys that pick up the shovels and picks and excavators and everything they do each day. They do some outstanding work, as witnessed by this sitting where we're at now. The other thing is, I'll tell you, Mayor, I almost didn't sign Bill's proclamation. And the reason being, not because I don't appreciate everything that was said in there, but there's a couple of people signed that proclamation that helped expedite his leaving here. And we will pay for that. Not to say that I don't trust Demita and Day Kirk to pick up and do well. I don't. I know they will. They'll do everything they can. But Bill, you're the best city manager we ever had. You brought us past the 21st century. You worked to get technology, kind of like John Tuggle did with Region 4. You did the same thing right here. And it just, I'm sad to see you go. I wish you well, and I know you will do well. You'll catch up on your fishing and your gardening and whatever else you want to do. So I wish you all the best in the world. So Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Anyone else in Ward 2?
No, I just want to say, thanks to Bill, from always, always answering my calls. I know it's getting on your nerves sometimes, but, and I hope I'm not one of the people that ran you off. That's one, but,
You were.
but, just being patient with me when I first got on here, taking meetings, always being professional. Even when I called you on a Sunday, on the weekends or whenever, and kind of walking me through the process. But I'm grateful for you and for that. And I appreciate you. Like you said, we're going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. I mean, a lot. And I hope I didn't do anything to make sure.
Thank you, Billy.
But I
And I'm going to be
appreciate you.
around, and I met you while you were on council,
Yeah.
so I appreciate that. That's, yeah.
Mr. Hazlett?
Yes, I'd like to say something. I hope I wasn't one to run you off. If I was going to do that, I'd have done that back in 2018 when I first got on here, when you annexed me. I'm sitting here today because of Bill Hannah-Bass. Bill's always been cordial to me. I appreciate all his work he's done. Appreciate all he's done for Mendon. He's been an advocate for us, as well as the city. I do appreciate you, sir. The way you've treated me over the years, it's always been cordial. I hope I've returned that. I do appreciate everything that you've done. I do. Thank you for your service. I would also like to speak upon, as far as the bank building. I am for it. I'm still for it. It is going to cost. I know that. It cost us more. We had a committee that was formed to talk about buying it. The owners set their price and would not budge. It was brought up that, how come things are not being done? We answered that question earlier when it was said that the employees and people were content with what they have. If you're content with what you have, that's all you'll ever have. The world will pass you by. I do believe we need to move forward, build our city, and I think this is a step towards it. And I know there are some members of council that were for the bank building, but changed their mind just because some other members of council were for it. And that's not how we should be towards each other, nor as members of the city, working to better the town that we live in. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Mr. Hazlett. Ward 1, it's Janie. Oh, did you want to say something? Oh, okay. Janie.
Bill, just want to take time to tell you how much I appreciate you and putting up with me like Benitez. I've called you a lot and I've asked a lot of questions. So, and I appreciate your friendship.
Thank you. We've sat at this table for a long time.
Will be missed.
Thank you.
I did have one question. It goes back, like, are we going to post your job, the city manager job? Is that going to be posted anywhere?
Council's not required to. That's going to be council's privilege.
Will we accept applications if they put them in? Because I've been asked.
That's again, council privilege. I'm not.
May I respond?
Yes.
The only thing we did previously is we indicated that we would like to talk to Demita about the position. And everyone seemed to be very complimentary, which in my mind, if we can come to an agreement, it would be frugal to post that position. And would be obviously a smoke and mirror if this council decided and felt was in the interest of the city to employ Demita, which again, I would say, I think it is very prudent. I think she would do an outstanding job. And I don't know anyone that knows where the skeletons are any more than her or Bill. And she's been recognized on the state level. And she and Bill work very close together. So, if we choose at the special meeting to offer the position to Demita, I would see no reason to advertise. If we're satisfied and we've got a good, competent individual that it would appear that all of us have a great deal of credibility in her. It's just one opinion.
I was just asking. 'Cause I was
Yeah,
asked
that's
if
why I
we
was-
were gonna post the job. So I didn't know.
Ms. Cheney, if I could add to that just a little bit.
Yes.
No objection. I've worked with Demita for a long time. She was here when I got here. She was clerk treasurer when I served on council. I was mayor, city manager. I can't say enough good about Demita, and I think it's your all's decision, but one of the finest individuals I know, and smartest, and gosh, and she's sitting here listening to this too. And very capable.
I have to
and-
agree to all that.
And tough when she needs to be. And that's all I had. I thank you.
Councilwoman Hodges.
Well, before I tell Bill how much I love him, everybody in this room knows I start planning the rail trail in February. So Bill is on speed dial, the chief is on speed dial, Day Day is on speed dial, Janine, Kat, Madam, hear my phone constantly. So if you were not able to attend, it was a huge success and we worked very hard for many months, and I appreciate everyone's hard work and dedication. There were thousands of people in our city and everybody was so complimentary and so helpful. It was amazing. It truly was amazing. So I really appreciate all of you answering my calls and helping me. Braden, if he's already gone. Yeah, he was awesome. So I truly appreciate everybody seeing me through those months when I'm crazy. Bill, my husband drugged me into these city council meetings 5 years ago. And ever since then, you have been so very gracious and kind.
Well, thank you.
And like Benitez, you answer my calls. And I even asked Bill this past weekend, is there rules on how many times I can call you when you're retired? Like, so we are incredibly grateful for your friendship and your leadership. And we will be
Thank you.
very sad that you are no longer with us, but you're still here. So it's not like
There
you're
you
not
go.
here. We truly appreciate it. And before I pass it over to Councilman Perry, I do want to also point out that my husband is celebrating his birthday with us this evening. And that's all I have. Thank
Break out
you.
in song.
No, you don't have to sing. I just wanted to point out.
Is this the present you gave him?
It is. Yes, it is. It is.
Bringing him to council meeting.
Yeah.
Was it worth the trip then to listen to this? Okay, all right. Councilman Perry.
The GIS job announcement, is that available? And we have reposted, correct?
The GIS, we have reposted. It's a deadline of June the 30th. And I have received one application so far.
Okay. Of course, the city manager announcement or description, is that available now or? bless you?
I have a
draft?
copy. It's a little bit convoluted, but I do have a 4-page document. I'll make copies and make it available to everybody.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. The other question I have is the road, we talked about this, roads in lieu. Has there been any suggestion or intent to reevaluate that?
There is a structural inspection board meeting. We scheduled it a little bit early, so I would still be here
Good.
June the 28th or 29th. I can't remember, but it will be before I go, and we will look at them. I don't know if it's going to make the priority list, and to be
Right.
candid, I don't think they will, but I will take a fair look at it.
I know you suggested the one on roads perhaps was,
Right.
and the other VOAD. Boad has drugged their feet on that little white building out there on Orr. And I cannot believe that it wouldn't be
I can score it again,
Score
Mr.
to
Perry, but we
tear
do,
that down.
we do go by criteria so that we're not indiscriminate.
Have you had any more discussions with Boad?
I actually, yes and no. I sent an email today
Okay,
to Ms. Hambrick, and I have the email address of some of her colleagues, and I included, I think, 4 people in an email. And I said, what is the movement here? Because you know, we'd agreed to it with some stipulations.
if they're right.
So,
That's been several months. The other thing, you notice they've started on the water tower. The check was sent. The city insignia will be part of that, and it should be completed in the next 2 to 3 weeks, what I understand. Okay. 3 months? Oh, okay. I've been misinformed. Thank you. Okay. The other thing I would say is this. You know, I talked to Bill several months ago. I insisted and requested, didn't demand, that he stayed at age 65. Is that not correct?
mhm.
And at that time, we would consider. So I say that to say this. I know I've been accused of running him off. There's been several city managers who have left and gone. And I've heard Bill say it's his time, and I respect that. I'm like everyone else. I wish you would have stayed. Last council meeting, I asked you, it's not too late. So I respect your decision. And I also have a statement I'd like to read. And I have listened to everyone else talk. I've not got up and left the meeting. So I'd like to read this statement for the record. Mayor Daniel L. Wright, City Manager, Bill Hannabass, Treasurer, Demita Johnson, fellow council persons. After much emphasis supplied, consideration, deliberation, I am compelled to respond to the egregious remarks made at the May 13th council meeting. For one, to suggest in a democratic process, the Oak Hill City Council is dictated by one individual is unfounded and certainly an affront and diminishes the contribution of 6. Individual conferencing and discussion with the city manager was instituted at the instance of a certain council member. At no time were conferences held for 5 days consecutive or a pattern of the same. Unequivocally, did I ever make any demand on the city manager as stated. 5, further actions of myself and my colleagues with respect to meetings with architects, engineers, Bbnt sellers, environmental specialists, and bond counsel only occurred at the approval of council in January by motion and subsequent vote to establish a committee for the purpose of fact finding. No commitments or definitive agreements were made. While I understand the frustrations that come with change and progress, I respectfully request remarks of a personal nature and negative social media postings be discontinued as they reflect negatively on this council and our great city. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, Demita.
I didn't think I was going to say anything, but I just want to let Bill know how I have enjoyed working for him and with him. I've worked with him the longest of any of the city managers that I've worked with. So that says something for him. He's taught me a lot of things, and anywhere in the state that you go, Bill is admired. I have a lot of city managers that look up to him, that call him for advice or help, or for ideas, because he has put us so far ahead of the rest of the cities. We do things that no other cities have even thought of with GIS and our scoring system. The technology that we have is beyond compared to other cities, especially ones that are our size. The current president of the municipal league, or the current executive director of the municipal league wants to be Bill, and he's always saying things about him. So I just want to let him know I have enjoyed working with you, Bill. It will be a lot different. He works with all women here in the office, and we've gotten him into a lot of things that he probably hasn't wanted to be in. And, but he's always been a good sport, and he has gone out of his way for us and for the city. I do thank council for the confidence that you've put in me to be the interim city manager. We do have a great staff, great employees that Bill has hired most of. We'll give Tom credit for some, but I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to do the job without the employees that we have. So I think that we can all work together very good. And I just wanted to say those things
Thank you.
before I lost my opportunity.
Thank you. And I would like to reply to that. Like most people, I've tried to quietly go about doing my job. The one thing I will brag on, I've done a fine job of, better than most people, I hired good people. It's the one thing I'll take credit for, unabashedly. I've hired the best. I've got the best team. Well, you did. But a lot of people, that's because both of you are older and cold. But I see some guys like here. I'll point out Kyle Hobbs. I shouldn't point out one, but I'll point out Kyle. Kyle's a young man. He manages the collection system of the Oak Hill Sanitary Board. How much stress and expertise for a man Kyle's age. He's only 55. Kyle's in his 20s and has a very responsible job. But these folks can do it. They do it well. And the other thing I'll take credit for, you all have excellent equipment. You have what you need to do the job. You have the people to run that equipment. I'm proud of it. Yep. Mr. Pennell right there, I'll put him against any equipment operator in the state, in any profession that operates equipment. Put him on a piece of equipment, he'll run it.
Even his brothers.
And yep, absolutely.
Go out, shoot the grade, and get it right where you want it.
Yep.
I put it up against any engineer.
Yep.
Because he's slick.
Yep. That's a fact. So thank you. I didn't mean to.
From the best, clear than-
Yep.
Any more comments from council? Brings us to mayoral comments. Mr. Kirk, have you taken another look at that pile of lumber and brush on Mayfair? Is it still there? And that mess at Chestnut? The weeds are growing up between the boards now. I can't even see the lumber that's left there.
That should be up to the council to put it on the agenda to either have them fair. I mean, they got it tore down. They can clean it up.
I thought when they tore it down, it was part of the deal was to clean it up when they tore it down. And they still haven't done it. And the dog park, that partition I talked to you about a couple weeks ago,
We're,
trying to figure out how to do that.
well, right now, I'm trying to finish this job here. We poured 20 yards of concrete today.
Okay,
Put our sidewalks back.
all right.
As soon as we get that done, there's the sidewalk.
Looks nice.
We'll get that done. Shonda, the dog.
Okay, well, thank you. And I extend my best wishes to Bill Hannabass as he moves away from city government to Laurel Creek. Is that it?
Eventually,
Laurel
in
Creek.
a year or two.
Someone told me you already sold your house and moved there. And I said, well, he went fast because I didn't know that. Someone this past week said, heard Bill Hannabass sold his house and built one at Laurel Creek. I said,
I will.
he's moving fast if he's done all that because I didn't realize that. I said, oh yeah, he's done that. So I said, well, I didn't realize he sold his house and already left. But you also responded to my calls, many calls, Mr. Hannabass, over the on weekends, evenings and whatever, and responded to them very quickly. And I appreciate that. And we used to talk about many things. Genealogy was one of them. Family tree activity, history was another one, besides just city business. So we used to talk about that in your office. I appreciate that. And I want to make note at a little bit till 7 minutes till 8. For the last time, I will say thank you, City Manager Bill Hannibas,
Thank you, Mayor.
in a
Wright.
public meeting. Future agenda items, council, do you have any?
Mayor, I'd like to again ask and request that this be entered into the minutes just as I presented it.
Objection, all right,
For the record.
All
for
right.
My children and grandchildren.
all right. Anything else?
Mayor, I'd like to see us go ahead and put that Chestnut Avenue house back on the agenda for discussion.
All right, put it back on there.
That was on my list.
Oh, was it? Okay. The next council meeting will be on July 11th, 2022, 5:30. And with that, there's no other business before council. Adjourned.
Well, I got another one I looked at, so building out there.
What is
beside that.
These are the evaluations. of these July.
I don't know exactly what somebody was counting on, you know, still doing our-
Charlie.
Hey. You don't look familiar dressed like that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, bet.
His dog.
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna reevaluate this. You gotta reevaluate. So this gets worse all the time.
Every time I drive by there, I think.
Hey, didn't you have something else to?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
There you go. Is that it? Is that it? There's your pen. What is this? Oh, where'd you get all these? Oh, when, this not gonna be the July, is it? 3 for each. Please, chief. Okay, so you took care of that. Thank you. I just gonna put them in here because we won't need that till later.
Appraised value, but
I had to come back up here.
yes, I got it. Good to see you.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
Hey, man, you know that.
6.
Oh, you know.
Wait a second. I thought he was gonna do it. I said,
One time we played. It's possible he would be there, interview people's band, and it's like a promotional. Okay. So you would be competing against them up here. Is that?
The two-face. Buddy, we are.
How about recording just playing?
We've been waiting almost 2 months. Still waiting another half week. I mean, yeah, we only got we're going to be stars.
I know that.
Oh, yeah.
In the past, they had Lady G at one time and.
I guess. Yeah, we're gonna find some dinner.
Well, you work on that down.
Yeah,
I didn't make it on the list to speak. See, I didn't make it on the list to speak. I wanted to, but I didn't make it on the list. I was out.
Gotcha.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, I wasn't texting you.
Well, thank you. You got a card or anything, a number or I can. Do this. Okay.
So I was texting.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. There you go. I usually see copperheads.
Oh, Right, right. Is Carnegie Hall still up? Carnegie Hall is in Louisville, right? Okay. Club is what I'm thinking about. That's yeah, Club is in Louisville. Well, it's outside of Louisville.
I'm pretty good. I think we're on this, I'm going back 40 years ago. And she came on the board. She came on the board.
You know that door, right? Yeah.
And we walked through the house and then another store came up and it got dark. That's nice sometimes.
Me too. Me too.
I saw one of the ones that I saw, big rabbit. Last September.
Yeah.
Socially, in the man, it's somewhat cool crowds.
Right.
Like I told kids when I was in the board of education, like, your band, concert band, all this. Don't let that stigma, don't let that high school, middle school stigma affect you.
Right. All right.
We all want to shake your hand. Are you gonna make it tomorrow?
Thank you.
6 o'clock.
Oh.
I'm going to.
Hey, Sandy threw it on me, and then,
Well, thank you.
I got
yeah.
clean tomorrow, right? Okay.
See, as I say, every time.
Are you guys?
Or, I was Jerry.
Again, I've been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
No, people thought I did, but we just celebrated being there for you. Being the other way. So I'm still there.
I was so busy. I was
Just for the first year.
That's the worst. That's the worst thing. Oh, yeah, the whole group came out. No, it got miscommunicated. But no, I'm planning to be, I hope to hit 50. And I love my customers. I love serving the older clients. I love being the one. I've been
Oh,
there
yeah.
45 years in that same building. I had Mr. I had, now, Mr. McGuff.
Let's see.
Yes. I took care of him from.
Not that you will.
I made him.